man band coming round the bend. Is boogie man band. Is boogie man band.
Tribute.
Salesman.
Greetings, my fellow fright fiends, and thanks so much for dropping by the Horror Zone channel. I hope everyone's doing well. This is going to be part 10 of my quiet little tribute to Salem's Lot series. It's been a long time since I've done one of these. I've been wanting to bring this series back all year, but just didn't get around to doing it. Had a lot of other content that I've been working on this year. The last time I did one of these was back in January after the tragic passing of Lance Kerwin, who played Mark Petrie in the film. And this one is extra special that I wanted to do today, and it's kicking off a series of 4 of these that I plan to do through the end of 2023. This one's going to be talking about Ron Scribner, who played Ralphie Glick in the film. Now, as I've mentioned in many of my Salem's Lot videos, I did not see part 1 of the miniseries upon its initial release. I saw part 2 when it aired on the 24th of November in 1979. So I didn't see part 1, and as most people know that have seen the miniseries, Ralphie Glick is not really in part 2 of the miniseries. If you see him in one scene, and that's briefly, you can barely see him because he's in the root cellar with the other vampires at the end of the film. So you see him really quickly, but that's it. But I do remember seeing some images of Ralphie Glick really briefly right before the second part of the miniseries aired. They did a recap of part 1. My kid logic back in those days was that children were safe from monsters. So seeing these images of Ralphie Glick, and I still remember the scene where he's entering Danny's bedroom. You see him sort of float in, and I remember that image really freaked me out right away. So it wouldn't be until I was about 7 when I would see the condensed version of the miniseries, which was Salem's Lot, the movie. And then when I was 11, I would see the full miniseries because they re-aired it on over a 2-night period on TV 44. I wanted to do this one on Ron because I am lucky that I was able to meet Ron Scribner back in 2019. Ferndale had a 40th anniversary event in the town. Ron and his girlfriend and his daughter were all in attendance for the event. It was a 2-night event. It lasted all weekend, but for 2 nights on the 18th and 19th of October of that year, they did screenings of the film, and Ron introduced the film, so it was really cool. And I got to know Ron a little bit before that. Back in April of that year, I had kind of done a 1-day trip up to Ferndale. My wife and I just went up there for 1 day. It's like I said, it's almost a 5-hour drive from me from where I live. But it was my birthday. It was my 45th birthday. And I was really kind of down in the dumps. And my wife said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, what if we just drove up to Humboldt and went to Lolita, where Halloween 3 was shot, and then went to Ferndale and had dinner there? And she was like, yeah, that's great. And we did that. I did, first time seeing Lolita, and then went to Ferndale, did a real quick kind of video, tour of, the town, and then just put a little video together and, posted it on some of the Salem's Lot boards, like Salem's Lot Then and Now. And Ron actually made a comment on it. Over time, Ron and I kind of kept in touch, and then the whole thing with the 40th anniversary event, my wife and I were in town. We went to the store that my wife loves when we go to Ferndale. It's called Abraxas. And I bought her a ring, and we walked out, and Amanda, Ron's girlfriend, and his daughter, Gabby, I believe is her name, were sitting out there right by the store, and she goes, Ben. And I turned around, and she introduced herself, and Ron at that point was sort of talking to some other people in town, but we all kind of met up, and it was just a trip because we talked. And this is before the screening that night at the old steeple. It was just really, really a surreal experience to meet him and just be walking around town where they shot the film 40 years ago, and talking about, something that was so important to me, and being able to talk to somebody that really, really had an impact on my childhood and really made me love the film. That night at the old steeple, they actually had, you could have things autographed. They had a poster. Christine Chapman, who ran Chapman's Bookery, which isn't in town anymore, she was selling an 8x10, that and a poster. They had these exclusive posters for the event as well, so I bought those. and I had Ron sign those, and I also had him sign this Blu-ray that I had just purchased that August. This was a Best Buy exclusive that had come out. He said the bite was my pleasure, Ron Scribner. He made it out to my wife and I, and he didn't charge me anything to sign anything. I probably could have had him sign more, but I felt guilty having him sign what I did. And he said he didn't even know that this had existed, and if I had known that he wasn't aware of this, I would have bought him a copy of it. Yeah, and then I told him about the tattoo, and he got up from the table and pretended to bite me where I had the right above where my tattoo was, and his girlfriend captured it on, got the picture of it and everything. His girlfriend Amanda took the picture, and that's actually where I had where he pretended to bite me is where I have the little Ralphie Glick tattoo currently. So, yeah, it was a great night. He actually even mentioned me on stage. He did a whole introduction for the film.
I get the honor of introducing you all to this film. I am Ralphie Glick in this film. I know it's going to be a little bit difficult to put the picture together. I've gotten a little fatter, a little older, a little thinner in the hair, and my vision's gone a little bit worse, but if you saw it 40 years ago and remembered it and came here tonight, I remember filming it like it was yesterday. I remember being in this incredible town. One of my very first dates with my girlfriend was in this town, and it was because of this movie. And she didn't believe I was an actor, and I told her to Google my name. That line actually worked. Celebrated 5 years last Monday. And we come here 5 or 6 times a year. I got to meet earlier tonight, doing some autographs, some people that were visiting the set when the movie was filmed 40 years ago, and the people were very cool then, and they're just as cool today. This is incredible. My girlfriend told me a couple of years ago there was a Salem's Lot fan website on Facebook. No way. Nobody remembers that movie, and she's like, no, and they're like arguing over some of your scenes. I'm like, really? So I go online, and she's like, they want to know how you can be bent in half when they carry you in, and Straker carries you in. I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, and one guy says that you could see the prop man sitting below as you came into the window. Like they play it back in slow motion. One of the gentlemen that started our website's here tonight, Ben, if you're here, yell. And I've had the pleasure of talking with him and some incredible fans from all over the world. I'm in a little bit of shock, a little bit of awe, humbled, honored. I just can't believe there are so many fans that are Stephen King fans, that are Tobe Hooper fans, and Barlow and Straker, and to a small extent, even little Ralphie. I'm just very appreciative, very honored. I can't believe you guys are doing this. I'm excited and grateful, and I'm going to quit talking, and you guys enjoy the film. Thank you for coming.
But going to go into a little detail on his background, just because that's typically what I do with this series. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoys this little breakdown of Ron Scribner's career. Here we go. So Ron Scribner was born on July 23rd, 1966. Beginning his career as a professional child actor and model at the age of 11, Scribner is perhaps best known for his role as the child vampire Ralphie Glick in the 1979 CBS miniseries Salem's Lot. Rising to prominence among teenage audiences as an adolescent, he is also known for multiple guest starring roles throughout the late 70s and early 80s, such as television series ABC After School Special, Little House on the Prairie, The Love Boat, Fantasy Island, Chips, and Dallas, among others. He was born Ronald Adam Scribner to parents Penny and Lawrence Scribner. He has a younger sister named Annalisa, who was born in 1969, who was also a child actor, appearing in numerous commercials as well as guest starring with him on an episode of Little House on the Prairie. On September 16th of 1978, he appeared in his first starring role on ABC's Saturday morning anthology series, the ABC Weekend Special. Scribner made his primetime debut on the ABC series Fantasy Island, the episode entitled The Homecoming. On January 15th of 1979, Scribner made his first guest starring appearance on the NBC series Little House on the Prairie in the episode entitled Blind Man's Bluff. Scribner played Jordan Harrison, a friend of Laura Ingalls, Melissa Gilbert, who pretends to be blind after an accident in order to bring his quarreling parents closer together. Scribner's next role was in the NBC television movie The Castaways on Gilligan's Island, premiering on May 3rd, 1979. The movie was the second film adaptation reuniting the original cast of the 1960s sitcom. In the movie, Scribner plays Robbie Sloan, a runaway boy who hides on the island after the former castaways have turned it into a luxury vacation destination. On September 9th, 1979, Scribner once again reunited as a guest star on Fantasy Island. The episode storyline entitled Hitman, Scribner portrayed Greg Forbush, the son of a desperate businessman, David Doyle, who wishes to be killed so that his family can collect on the insurance. Complete with an entirely different family, Scribner joined the list of Fantasy Island guest stars who would return to the show to play completely different characters. Scribner guest starred on the CBS primetime soap opera Dallas in the episode entitled The Lost Child. Scribner played Luke Middens, a lonely young boy who develops a special relationship with Bobby Ewing after his father is hired as a ranch hand at South Fork. On November 17th of 1979, Scribner starred in what would become his most famous role, that of a child vampire, Ralphie Glick, in the two-part CBS movie Salem's Lot. Based on the Stephen King novel and shot on the film, the miniseries was later re-edited and given a feature film theatrical release in some European countries. In one of the film's most memorable scenes, Scribner's character levitates in the mist outside his brother's bedroom window, one of the film's depictions of a child vampire in film and becoming something of a cinematic touchstone among horror fans. Horror writer-director James Gunn wrote of Scribner's performance, "The moment with the little vampire brother knocking on the window, scraping and making that horrible sound, and his brother comes over and lets him in. When I was a kid, that scared me more than anything else in my entire life. It gave me nightmares for years. It all comes down to the little kid's performance. The smile on his face is the scariest, creepiest thing of all time." In 2012, Fangoria writer Lee Gambin described the enduring iconography of Scribner's role as a beautiful play on the Peter Pan mythology, where the children of darkness never grow up, staying young forever but feeding on the blood of mortals, and lauded Scribner's scenes as among the most captivating, sinister sequences ever put on film. When interviewed about the cult following of the film, and particularly the scenes had sustained for more than 30 years, Scribner stated, "It was the most fun, and I'm super happy to have been a part of something that means so much to people." As Scribner entered adolescence, teenage audiences began to take notice of him, as did teen magazines. Beginning to appear his true age, Scribner made the transition from child star to teen idol, with colored pinups and articles appearing in numerous teen magazines of the time, including Tiger Beat, Super Teen, and Teen Stars, among others. On October 18th of 1982, Scribner returned to Little House on the Prairie in what would be his final role. In the episode entitled Rage, Scribner guest starred as Randall Page, a teenage boy in Walnut Grove who falls in love with a girl, Tammy Lauren, whose father, plagued by personal and financial troubles, becomes unhinged after learning of the young lovers' budding romance. Following his appearance on Little House, Scribner's acting began to taper off. In 1985, he was reportedly set to co-star in the feature film The Falcon and the Snowman, but his role was subsequently cut from the final edit, and interest from the teen magazines eventually waned. After leaving show business, Scribner finished high school and in 1989 enrolled at the University of California, where he graduated in 1993. In the subsequent years, Scribner worked as a financial analyst and mortgage broker. So for the scenes where Ralphie is floating outside the window, Ron had to be fit into an apparatus and hung from a crane in a body harness. They had to do a mold of his body. He actually had to be nude when they did this. And when they were removing the mold from him, he was 13 years old when this happened. It was the same time that the tour tram was going by on the studio lot. So that was poor kid. But Toby Hooper actually coached him because the fact that everything was shot in reverse. So he actually started in the room and then was hoisted up and out the window and then was scratching at the window. When you're watching it, the fact that it was done in reverse, it just makes it, that's why it just looks so eerie. He still has PTSD from the scenes in the root cellar because they brought in molded potatoes with maggots. And there was just this stench that was in that space where all of the actors were laying in, and Jeffrey Lewis goes into detail about it too in the interview he did. in Tony Earnshaw's book. But Ron said they sprayed Lysol to cover up the smell, and he says now to this day, whenever he smells Lysol, he has PTSD. But yeah, I'm just so grateful that I can call Ron Scribner a friend. We've kept in contact all these years. Like I said, he's the only actor from the movie that I've had the honor of meeting. Ron and Ralphie Glick provided me with a lot of nightmares growing up, but I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for his friendship. He's an amazing person, very kind. And the time that I had to hang out with him and just talk to him about Salem's Lot and just the town of Ferndale and just the impact that it had on me, he was so kind to my wife and I, and I hope that our paths cross again very, very soon. So I hope everyone enjoyed this quiet little tribute to Salem's Lot dedicated to Mr. Ron Scribner, aka Ralphie Glick. And let me know what you think about his performance in the film. Let me know if you're a fan of any of the other works that he's done. I really appreciate everyone's time watching this, and I promise there are some really cool segments in this series coming up very, very soon. So take it easy, stay scared as always, and remember, you can do nothing against the master. Hey, my fellow Fright Fiends, I just want to thank everyone for supporting Boogeyman Ben's Horror Zone. If you haven't yet subscribed and you'd like to, please hit the subscribe button down below. Click the bell notification so you're updated every time I drop a new video. I try to drop a video at least once or twice a week. The Horror Zone is a passion of mine, and it really makes me happy that I can share that passion with all of you guys. Thanks so much again for the support, and I'll talk to you again real soon. Take it easy. Stay scared as always. Peace.